This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Welcome everybody to the January 9, 2023. Can't believe it's 2023. Housing Authority meeting for the town of Southampton. Everyone had an opportunity to see the agenda, I hope. Okay, let's call this meeting to order. We'll begin with open time for the public. Is there, I don't see anyone yet. We might have some guests later. Okay. Well, if they arrive, we'll work them into the agenda. All right. Review and approval of previous minutes. Did folks have a chance to read? Janet is getting those out exceedingly timely. Thank you for that. Good, well done.
Yeah, so it's the December 12th minutes.
Correct.
Correct. Yep.
Right. I just looked at them. I moved to approve them.
A second.
Okay, we'll have a voice vote.
So Jim, you did have one change, right? I don't think I didn't say College Highway. I think I made that.
Yeah. I'm not mentioning it now because your email said you made the change. Is that?
Yeah, but I don't know if everybody saw the change. So I just make sure that we're aware of that. So up here,
full transparency. Thank you, Janet.
Yeah. Just, I know it's here somewhere.
Wherever there's 350, right?
Yes.
It has to do with the property.
It didn't say College Highway initially. It says College something. So I changed it to Highway.
There it is.
Everybody's.
I didn't even notice.
So
it was an autocorrect thing, I suspect.
Yeah, something like that. Who knows?
So that is a change from what you were emailed. So maybe we should do this, make it official again. Is there any further input or comments? Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll just amend. I would just move to amend the motion.
Okay.
With the edits.
Motion with edits.
Okay.
A voice vote, please.
Piper, aye.
Simmons, aye.
Kane, aye.
Sini, aye. It is unanimous. And it looks like we have someone from the community. Hey, Becky.
Or from the Finance Committee.
Or from the Finance Committee. Well, that's the community.
Finance Committee.
I invited Becky to join us because when I went to the Finance Committee meeting, she mentioned that she was Housing Authority liaison. So I'll tell you when the meetings are.
Oh, wow. You bring a very serene presence, or at least the background.
Must be her fish tank or something.
Nice. Well, welcome. We're just beginning. Okay. Do you have any thoughts or agenda items you were bringing today for our meeting, or you?
I have no thoughts at the moment.
Okay. Well, we'll try to put some there. Hopefully, they'll be pleasant ones. Okay, we just had our open time for the public. We called the meeting to order, had open time for the public. We're reviewing and approving of previous minutes. We just did that. And so now the next item on the agenda is sharing trust creation strategies with the town of Hatfield. We had some members from Hatfield Housing Authority who probably heard about us through MHP, I'm guessing, or anyway, heard that we just created a trust. And so they wanted to not reinvent the wheel and discuss with us, which we can, Janet, you and I, if you recall, we visited folks from Amherst and we did some poking around back in the day. Yep. There's no open meeting violation by us meeting with other folks from outside of Southampton and sharing information, is there?
I don't think so. You mean in an open meeting?
Well, I mean, like we did when we just met with this one member. It wasn't in a meeting. It was just, but it wasn't town business either, in the sense that we weren't.
Well, we can't meet with a quorum with them, but if one or two members wanted to spend some
Okay.
time with them. I think there's nothing inappropriate about that or illegal or whatever.
Okay, but
To the best
as a
of my-
group, we couldn't meet outside this forum, even though we're not talking about business. We're just because it's just a quorum and it is what it is.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about the housing trust that we developed and we, I think it becomes, if we were listening to them and not really participating or deliberating back and forth, I think that would be fine. But if it's an open discussion and, I don't know what,
It's a little gray. We might as well play it safe. Fair. Well, that's kind of the thinking I had in inviting them to this forum. And maybe they'll jump in later. But okay, we shall see. Moving on. Trust next steps.
Hmm.
I saw an affirmative head shake from Sierra.
I would love to know what the next steps are.
Yeah, well, I would too. I can guess what I'm thinking.
can I say one thing? We have to get the bylaw back from the Attorney General.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think that's the first step we have to wait on before we can start appointing people.
That was where I was going, Joy. I have some people in mind, maybe you do too, but we need to keep
I
the
think-
horse before the cart and wait for the bylaw.
I think that the select board would be responsible for appointing people, not us.
But we could make suggestions to the select board or no?
They could fill out applications, volunteer applications,
Yeah.
and a resume or cover letter with interest, yes, to submit it to Ed.
So there's no vetting of the potential candidates here among ourselves saying, I'm thinking of this person. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. We can just individually go to folks and say,
Yeah, because really it's a select board appointed board. And I mean, if we knew people that we thought would be good, we would certainly encourage them to sign up and come forward and submit their names. But I think that within the, they would have to, I don't know if we have to create a charge or first for the committee. I think maybe if Joy could find out at the select board meeting, will they develop a charge, Joy? Because it really isn't a committee that reports to them, to you as a select board. So usually,
Yes.
the new committee, they develop, the bylaw kind of states.
Yeah, the bylaw kind of is the charge.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they really, as soon as the AG comes back and approves it, I think it's just, we let the town people know, the citizens know that they can apply to this trustee. If they want a separate document for a charge, I think that's an easy thing to do. It's just copy and paste basically, because it's right there in the bylaw. But
Yeah, that would be from the select board though. It's kind of out of our hands at this point in time.
yeah, once we get the approval back, I'll request we could just draft a separate charge to, disseminate on social media or whatnot if we're looking for people to join
If
who are
we
interested.
know good candidates that we would want to encourage individually and stuff, I think that's always.
Absolutely. That's the first priority, I think, is talking to people that we think have the experience, expertise.
and if in so doing, people are interested, we send them to town hall for a volunteer form, or is it on the town website?
I believe it's on the website.
On the website.
Yeah,
Nice.
but we're also asking for resumes too.
Resumes or cover letters, right? One or the other.
Resumes, cover letters, and the application. So 3 items.
Nice.
And are there certain types of expertise that you're looking for?
So it was drafted in the bylaw. I don't know that.
Yeah, it was experience or interest in housing, community development, real estate, property, things like that.
Mortgaging and lending,
Right. Right. I was just going to say the banking side, the financial side of it. Yeah.
finance.
I do remember that being in there.
Yeah.
And we specifically didn't say they had to have expertise. It would be great if they did, but because it's a 5-member board, and it can be hard to get enough volunteers, even if someone is just really interested in it. As long as the select board approves them, they could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Willing to learn on the job is a good asset to bring. Yeah. Okay. Well, since we're being recorded and folks in town might see this, if you're interested, please go to town hall or go online and submit a resume, cover letter, and the volunteer app.
And the
Good.
name of the committee is the Affordable Housing.
Trust, I can't. Affordable Housing Trust. Yeah, it's no bylaw after we got that passed.
Good work. Okay. If there's no further input on this, next steps, we'll move to the next agenda item. Seeing no objection, 354 College Highway property update. I do have some information. Wrote some notes here. So I've been working, talking with Ed and emailing back and forth. Ed assures me that the property just purchased by the town for our hopeful first affordable housing site, he says it has been surveyed, that he suspects there are no wetlands issues there. It's been surveyed and it's been perked, but the survey did not delineate, it's his word, the detail of whether there was wetlands or not.
We get a copy? Yeah.
So, yeah, right. So he said if he's pursuing a copy of that survey.
From where?
From the surveyor, I guess, who did it, which I don't know.
He didn't mention who the surveyor was?
No. Or if he did, I don't recall, truthfully.
Okay.
So he's pursuing a copy of that to confirm and run it through legal counsel. But he did say if the survey does not delineate whether there are wetlands or not, because we were budgeted X amount approval at town meeting to purchase the property, and we actually purchased it for less than what was voted on, the 125,000, and we purchased it for less.
Yeah.
That he said those funds can be used to conduct a wetlands survey if needed. So I thought that was good news. By my math, we bought it the town bought it 105,000. We had 125,000 allocated, so that's 20,000. This should be more than enough to do a wetlands survey. So it's a weird time of year, right? It's calendar new year. So I last emailed Ed on Thursday, the 5th. I haven't heard from him since, so I'll continue to nudge him about whether he found the survey or not. Regarding a request for proposal, that's the next step for the property. I think knowing whether it's suitable for, it's not wetlands or not is important. Certainly it's important to one potential vendor, which would be Habitat for Humanity. Again, the property being perked, I'm not worried about the wetlands other than it's next to town land, which is designated for conservation. That's probably what's triggering this concern by Habitat for wetlands. But regardless, we need to build an RFP. And so Ed needs a SOW from the Housing Authority from us. And I said, well, I've never produced a statement of work for a housing property. And he understood, and he said that he would find some examples for us, some templates to work on, which is great. Successful SOWs from nearby towns. So, and I told him that I would solicit the same from MHP, Mass Housing Partnership. So again, that's another thing I've been kind of nudging Ed about, if he's got those templates yet. Still waiting to hear. And MHP replied once, and we had some miscommunication. So I clarified, I'm looking for example of a SOW, and so I haven't heard from them either. So I will continue to pursue that, but I'm not bright enough or creative enough to create a sow from scratch, having never done this before for this kind of project. I've created sows before, nothing for something like this. So I hope we can get some templates and some ideas.
So is that's different than than an actual sample RFP?
Yeah, according to Ed, we need the statement of work as a prerequisite to the RFP.
Okay. Because I found, can I share one thing?
Please.
Online. So, but
Please.
This was from the toolbox, the MHP toolbox. Talks about a request for a proposal, but it's not a statement of work, but it is a sample, sort of a sample statement,
Yeah. Well, see, I'll confess my ignorance. Is Ed just advising this because most people use a sow in part of the process to creating what you're sharing with us, or is it really a distinct requirement that's needed?
There may be, the statement of work may be embodied in here.
That's what I'm wondering, right?
But does the RFP come from the town administration instead of from us? So we create the statement of work and then they turn it into an RFP? Is that what's going to happen?
Maybe. Right. Maybe the town council or whatever, or whoever's normally creates RFPs for the town.
Mm-hmm.
We from the feasibility committee, we were very fortunate to have experienced engineers and planners that had done SOWs before. So they kind of helped work with it was an RFQ, not an RFP. And they were very good and instrumental at helping us to do that. But it's a very different requirement. So it was kind of developed by the committee members and discussed and improved and modified based on the committee. So I would say that, I don't know. We may end up being responsible for it, but with some good guidance.
So the statement of work is the project, like its actual self, the work that we want done. And then the RFP defines, it has the SOW in it, the statement of work in it, but then also deliverables, performance criteria, contract, is more of kind of a contract of the work. And so Ed can't do an RFP without our statement of work.
So that follows along with what we speculated. Yeah. Okay. Well, he sounded confident that he can get us some examples. So I'll again, I suspect with the change in the calendar year and everything, and it's just, I don't know how he keeps things in track. He seems like a very busy individual. So I'll continue to nudge him. But feel free, if any of you are in town hall. Last time I was there, I happened to check our mail, which we didn't have any. That hasn't happened in a while. But if you're in town hall, knock on Ed's door and say hello and remind him we're looking for sow templates and a copy of the survey from the College Highway. Good deal. Further thoughts? That's what I have for College Highway update. Anyone else here have any updates?
I'm wondering if groups like Habitat would have a sample SOW too. But I guess we have to balance whether, if they do, it has to be generic and not skewed, so that becomes a little gray as well. So
you're right. I would rather not ask them as someone who's potentially going to be an applicant. It just,
we don't want to eliminate.
For transparency wise, it just doesn't look good. It's good. Yeah. If we're desperate, but I am hoping that we're not going to be that desperate, because, personally, this is just my opinion. I think it'd be great to use Habitat for Humanity, but I think we do need to put it out there and have a bidding process, and everything needs to be on the up and up and see what we find.
Yeah, I think the document, was that from Shelley? The one document you forwarded to us kind of said that the one you sent us there that talked about I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Talked about making sure that, it's open to all, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, which just makes sense. I mean, we have builders in town, and we have some builders in town who, like to contribute to the betterment of the town and may be interested in, providing a good work for a good rate, and that everybody wins that way. So we need to make it an equal opportunity process.
If he sends you a template for a statement of work, and if you would like, I will take the first stab at updating it to be ours. I will just, in case that happens before our next meeting.
Well, since you're the grant writing guru and you seem to have magic that comes out of your pen, I will not argue with that proposal.
Okay, cool. We got a grant writer, we got a lawyer, we got experts in town government, we got the best possible peeps here.
And you got an old man, so it's all good. Good. Thank you, Sierra. Yeah. Well, obviously, we all can work at this, but where I struggle often is the start, right? Getting it going. I'm not a writer. I'm fair at editing. So.
Well, and there's always things we can borrow from that other communities have done,
Mm-hmm. Right. We don't need to work that hard.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Good. All right. If we're set with the property update, we're moving right along this month. It doesn't normally go this way, Becky. Do we have any other items? This is the agenda item. Any item that cannot wait until next meeting?
I have a couple of things. Okay, so the first thing you brought up, the meeting recordings would be online. When I looked for the meeting recordings, because remember when we had the press release going, we were going to try to put a recording of the Housing Trust 101 up. And so I looked on East Hampton Media's webpage. It was not on there. There was nothing since 2021. And then I emailed East Hampton Media and said, hey, there's no housing authority meeting since 2021. Can you send me the specific one or get those updated? And they never answered me. So just throwing it out there that, because I'm gonna be honest, I haven't looked back at their website in the last month, but nobody answered my email. And I have concerns about whether our meetings are actually being posted up there. So I don't know. I could check again and make sure that's still the case. And I could email them again. I don't know. Or I could talk to Ed about the millionth thing he has to worry about, which doesn't seem like the best avenue to go.
I have a suggestion. This is my years of working the government chain of command, right? So why don't you reply to your last effort and CC me. I'm sorry?
I don't know who that was.
I don't either. It was bizarre. And CC me as chair.
Okay.
And then we'll give them a couple of weeks. And if we don't get a response from that, then I will reply and I'll CC Ed.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We'll see what's going on. And unless Joy, as our select board liaison and also super member, do you have a better suggestion or in addition to that? Or
I mean, besides me bringing it up at a meeting, a select board meeting.
Yeah.
I don't have any. Sorry, that was me. I was going on to the East Hampton Media YouTube. Because
it's like a live look.
That's a whole year.
Yeah.
Is that still the case? That's not in there?
I am looking now.
Okay, I'm looking as well.
I've never looked. I just assumed, but because I don't want to see my face, frankly, so I don't want to look. But if it's there,
I mean, it's important. If there was.
Yeah, I see one from 12/12/2022.
2020. Yeah. Nope. There are.
They're there. Yes.
They put them. All right. Let me see. Housing, and you're looking at housing
up to May. It looks like there's up to May.
I see one from 12/12/2022.
Oh, really?
I think you shook the tree, Sierra.
Let's see. What?
Then there's one from October, and then there's one from 2021. And
Why do I only see May?
Are you looking at Housing Authority, Janet, or?
Brought to you by Eastworks
Oops,
and our
sorry,
local
sorry.
cable subscription.
quiet. Let me just show you where I'm at.
When I'm at Housing Authority, I only see it up to 12/6/2021. But then on their YouTube channel, they had up to like May 2022 or something.
Yeah. Where are you seeing the December
It's a
2022?
YouTube channel that I'm looking at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. East Hampton Media YouTube. We all need to see this for ourselves.
Oh, I see the 12/12/2022. But you know what? It might not be under their actual playlist, the Southampton Housing Authority playlist. It might just be uploaded onto their general East Hampton media site, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yes, playlist. Okay, so
I just did a search at the top for Southampton Housing Authority, and I got it the first time, but
They're there. I just don't think they're organized.
It sounds like there are many ways to one place.
Yeah.
And if you don't choose the right one, maybe, Sierra, you don't see it, which is
okay, so it's not in the playlist, but you're saying if you search Southampton Housing.
Yeah, Southampton Housing Authority, and it'll come up. The most
Okay.
recent I see is 12/12/2022.
well, for those, when this one gets posted, those watching this will say, now I know how
Now I know how to
to
find it.
find it.
Okay,
They
they're
found
in
it to
there.
watch it this one, but
See,
don't know
they're
how to
in
find
there,
it
but
again.
they're not like on the list, on the
They're not
actual
on the playlist.
Yeah, but they're uploaded to the East Hampton media site.
Okay.
So you have
okay.
to search essentially to find them.
So maybe. Okay, if anyone, so do we make any moves for this, or we just leave it as is and say if people want to find it, they'll find it?
Would you mind? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joy.
No, go ahead. I
just-
hear some requests coming.
Oh, Siri's barking at me. I would ask you, if you would, Sierra, to follow up with your email and say, we were able to find it by searching, but please include it on the playlist or something like
On
that.
the playlist and on their website, because people would,
Yeah.
not on their
Yeah.
website, or at least the playlist. Okay, got it. We'll do.
Going to Tim Riley by any chance? Do you have Tim Riley's email? He's
Let's see. Who did I email about that? 1 second.
It's supposed to be e-media now instead of East Hampton too.
Hmm.
But whether it is or on their site or not,
That may be why they didn't reply if you're sending it to an old email address.
That's
I don't know if the email address has changed. Yeah.
No.
what I sent out. Yeah, Southampton Housing Authority Archives. I sent it to info@easthamptonmedia.org.
And that's where anyone would send it.
Okay.
So I will send you Tim Riley's email address. He's the one that I know when Joan has recorded a movie, that's who she's a meeting. That's who she sends it to. So I don't know if that'll help or not, but we can give it a shot.
I'll CC him. So I have one more thing on the things to bring up.
Please.
Dan LaValle, as you may remember, wants to join the Housing Authority. I sent him our meeting dates, and he sent me an email saying, well, the Ad Hoc Technology Committee meets and the Conservation both meet on Mondays. And so he said, I'm more than willing to help, but I can't make their meeting times. If you need help for events or other opportunities for volunteering that doesn't require me to be present at that time, I'm more than willing to help. Then we talked a little more. And I said, first I said, okay, is the meeting dates really the only issue? Or are you just like overwhelmed with how many committees you're on? He said, no, it's really just the meeting dates are the issue. So I was like, well, maybe we can change them or something. If we have all these members, we try to plan our meetings around all of the members. And so I asked him whether evenings he's available at 6 p.m. He said he's available Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And he said, or I could show up after my other meeting gets out and read what the group is up to. I could help and work on specific projects. So just wanted to bring that to the group. So his suggestion is like, I can just be on the committee, but not come to the meetings, which I don't know if that's the most helpful thing. Maybe it is. We could try to change the time to accommodate him, or not? What do you guys think?
So Concom meets on the first Monday, and I think we changed it to the second Monday to try to avoid that for Joy, right?
Yeah.
So ad hoc, I don't know. I know that they met.
Also, is Dan on the Concom anymore? He's an associate. He's not a member anymore on Concom.
But that shouldn't be a conflict anyway. But the ad hoc one, it does meet at 6:00.
Yeah, on Mondays.
And I don't know if it's every Monday or how often.
He
But
said on the opposite Monday from Concom. So does Concom mean twice a month?
Yeah, Con meets the first and third Monday.
So I'm guessing it's the second and fourth Monday then.
yeah. Who ad hoc?
Yeah, the ad hoc grant committee or technology committee, which
Which
he's
is not going
chair.
anywhere anytime soon.
right. He's the chair of.
No, I'm not sure he may be a co-chair at this point.
No, yeah, I think he's the chair.
Well, can we move it to another night? Because Dan is certainly enthused about this, and
Well, first of all, do we have an opening without being state appointed? I guess before we flip flop our schedules that seem to be working for the other 4 members plus finance. If we flip flop and then he can't make it, then we've kind of. Do we have to have a state appointed, or can it be appointed by the town, Jim? Did you ever get an answer to that?
So yeah, the answer from Ed is the 5th member should be state appointed. It's not a big deal. He thinks, Dan is a registered Democrat. We just elected a Democratic governor. Ed doesn't foresee it being an issue, him being appointed. But the 5th member, Ed thought, should be a state appointed person.
Okay. So he could at least try to get state appointed like I did. And then did we ever find out what the deal was? How someone, can the town appoint them before the state responds or something like that? Was that it? How did that work?
Well, help me understand why we're discussing this. Does it matter? I don't understand why it matters whether
Because we don't have a fifth spot unless it's a state appointed spot, right? So,
right. So why?
Before you change our schedule, let's get him state appointed and then work on that. I guess is kind of my thought.
Well, to me, it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other, because we don't want to get him state appointed and then we can't change our schedules to meet it, right?
Well, okay, so we can get him state appointed. They won't reject him at the state level. They just might not answer him, which is what happened to me. And when I didn't get answered, I was somehow appointed by the town and still became a voting member. So as long as that's a thing that could happen, it's not really a roadblock. They're not going to reject him. That doesn't really happen. It's just they might ignore his request.
Well, then how is that state appointed if they ignore his request? I mean, I know that was
It's not state appointed. It's just it defaults. I think if there's
defaulted.
I think I'm guessing, first of all, this would be the first time we've ever been at 5 in my memory. So that the state might say, hey, the 5th one's got to be state appointed. But with your case, Sierra, by them not responding, then, no is an answer. And, no answer is an answer. And so it gave permission for the town to appoint you.
I guess so. And then 1 month later, I just became elected anyway. Right. So, and hypothetically, I didn't push because I knew I could just get elected in. Because he can't get elected, he has to be state appointed. We could try calling the state appointment office and pushing harder to get them to respond if we really needed them to. I never called them. I just mailed them something.
Yeah. So let's go back. To me, this is, what lens are people looking at this through? Janet's lens, which is, let's see if we can get him appointed first and then we'll figure out time, or my lens, which is why should we even try to get him appointed if we can't find a time?
Well, I don't think we should change the time until we actually have him appointed, but I think we can figure out a proposed time for when we can all be available, that he's also available. And then when he gets appointed, we can change it.
That makes sense. Well, hypothetically, if he got appointed and then never came to meetings, he could still be a voting member. We could still have a quorum without him, and he could still do stuff for us. So that's like the worst case scenario if we do the appointment first and don't move the meetings, right?
Oh, then why would we endorse
That's not really a member.
appointment? Yeah. If he's not going to come to meetings.
Okay, so we do feel that actually attending the meetings is a pretty key aspect of being.
Yes, tell Dan. I will tell Dan if he wants to be in our club, he has to come to the meetings.
Okay. So hypothetically, I can't do Tuesdays. Hypothetically, without making any commitments here, could anyone here do Wednesday or Thursday at 6 p.m.?
So he has planning on some Wednesdays.
At 7. 7 is planning board, which I'm also the liaison, which I'm the liaison to. I'm a member here, but that's every other, that's usually the first Wednesday and then the third Wednesday. And then Thursdays, I have open space. Usually it's monthly, the first Thursday.
I would actually prefer Wednesdays to Thursdays now that I think about it. I do have a thing.
So if it's Wednesday, it would have to be probably before, because planning board can get lengthy.
Yeah. Well, we like 6 p.m. here anyway. So.
Right. But if they're done in time.
Yeah. And he could always, even if we run over, he could always leave us at 7 and it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Is he on parks as well still?
Right. Well, we lose both him and Joy potentially.
Yeah.
Is he on parks? I think he's still on parks, right?
Yes, he's still on parks, I believe, too.
So that I'm just looking to see when, because they've kind of tried to move their time, I think, to accommodate Dan without a lot of success. So.
Well, yeah, Dan did say Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Tuesdays are at 6 p.m. So he does appear to think that that's the time that he's available.
So where are we at? Are we trying to find a day on a Wednesday? Or I'm hearing Sierra say that Wednesdays are preferable to Thursdays.
Mm-hmm.
I have commitments first Wednesday, sometimes second. I can.
So what if we try to do the opposite Wednesday planning board?
We won't change until we know for sure that he's available.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, but just discussing the possibilities so we know that if it did happen, it's not outside the realms of doing.
Right.
Yeah.
In the meantime, pushing through the state piece, is that my impression from Ed is that something that he submits to the state on behalf of Dan.
Yeah.
But you did it yourself, Sierra?
Oh yeah, I did it myself. That's what the website says, or the town website says too. So I could
encourage Dan.
I can email Dan and be like, here's the deal. We decided if you get appointed, we could do a Wednesday at 6 p.m., possibly the Wednesday that's not the same day as the planning board. And your next step is to submit your resume and application to the state for appointment. And let us know if you don't hear from them.
And would you CC Ed on that email?
I could do that.
Just so because he and I discussed it, just so he knows. Please.
Yep.
I guess my only concern, and I like Dan a lot. He's just in so many committees. I don't know how he spends how many weeks in Canada with his job.
I think he goes every other week.
So, he may be in Canada for our meetings. We just have to.
They stay on Zoom, I guess.
Well, if he's not working into the evening.
Right.
Yeah, he's pretty much unavailable when he's out in Canada, I think. Yeah. That's my impression.
But we have a backup.
We have a quorum without him, and he is. And there's people like him who commit to many things. Like they thrive on being busy and having packed schedules. Like I know a lot of people like that who are just like one more thing doesn't bother them because they're just like, yeah, this is my life. Go. So
I don't know how they handle it, but yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't.
Everyone's like, yeah.
but he's an adult. He can make his own decisions. So I mean, if this body has concern about, future attendance, that's one thing. I think the concern about, any new member to be able to manage the schedule they have is a generous and a nice concern, but really up to that individual who's saying, I can do it.
Dan is coming in, joining us as we speak.
Good.
Oh, you must have heard us talking about him. Your ears ringing?
By me texting him. You're going to come join the meeting.
Your ears ringing?
Hello?
Hi, Dan.
Hi.
Yeah.
Nice to see everybody.
Been talking about you.
Oh, yeah. Like I mentioned in my email, the scheduling of this meeting is the same exact time as my technology committee meeting. So I would love to help both committees. It's just I can't be in two places at the same time. So what I've been doing is just jumping over to this meeting once that one ends, because I'm the chair of that one and no one else will take over the chair of it. So I try to give it away. No one will take it. So
should I fill Dan in on our discussion?
Summarize, please.
Okay, so Dan, we determined that hypothetically we could rearrange our schedule so that you could attend. Before that happens, we want you to go through the process of getting state appointed. So the fifth member of the group has to be a state appointee. That involves you going to the town website and filling out, there's like instructions to send your resume and a cover letter to the Attorney General. When I did this, they didn't respond. So if you could keep it on your calendar, and if they don't get back to you within a month or 6 weeks, whatever they say the waiting period is, let us know and we can call them and actually try to follow through. But if the only reason you're hesitant here is that because of the meeting times, we did discuss that if this went through, not making the decision yet, we could do a Wednesday at 6 p.m. That's not the same week as the planning committee, and we could all make that work.
wow, that's really gracious of you all. I appreciate that, and I really do want to help, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, I will fill out the paperwork and see what happens.
I do have one question though. Are you able, so when you are away for work, you're not able to join meetings. Do you go every other week, or is it just random? Because I know you have been showing up to the planning board meeting. So in my head, you're gone the next following week because, do you know what I'm saying? Oh,
so my travels for my job, that project is coming to an end. So I was supporting my site in Canada, and by doing so, I had the project, because it was in a what do you call it, a very busy state, which it came out of at the end of the year. So now I'm back to working in Northampton, so I'm not traveling to Canada. But that doesn't mean, projects will come up and I'll have to go to whatever country and work. And when I do, that's it depends on how far away the country is. Usually the further away it is, the larger my time between trips is. So, but I would make my best efforts to attend the meetings. I think one of my problems is it always seemed to be the ad hoc technology committee was trying to run the meeting. I couldn't run the meeting when I was in other places just because it was too chaotic, but I could attend. Thanks
for clarifying. Just wondering.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. So your next project is in Aruba, is that right? Or
Mm-hmm.
We opened an office in Brazil, so
it's a little touchy down there politically. Be careful.
Is it? Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Anyways,
all right. Well, I appreciate that clarification.
Yeah. So you can decide there's a better choice. Go for it. Yeah.
No.
They're knocking down the door. Wait, I think there's.
Yes.
I know, right?
Somebody else is knocking to get in. No.
Even if they were in, no one's knocking as hard as you are willing to really roll up your sleeves. So thank you.
I've been. This is a area of town committees that I'm very interested in and have been interested in a long time, and I hope I can help.
Nice.
Sweet.
Excellent. Be careful. You might be made chair. All right. Thank you. So your timing is impeccable, Dan, because I think we're at the end. Sierra, do you have any more items, or does any member have any additional items that really shouldn't wait till our next meeting?
I would just say, don't threaten Dan with chair. Okay, we want him to jump.
Well, it's not that I wouldn't do that. It's just my busy life right now.
I get it. I'll say there's a lot of support on this team. A lot of support.
So I did want to bring up one thing that we discussed last meeting, which was the starter home zoning district. And actually, it's a good thing Dan's here because he's on the planning board, and we had a great conversation with planning board about it. And actually, Richard
Hadley.
Harris. Yeah, the consultant was there. Wait, is that his last name? Wait, he gets confused for the actor. Okay, now that I'm remembering. Okay, yes. I think he was telling us a funny story when we were like interviewing him. Is gonna reach out to DHCD, who's in charge of this kind of implementing the starter home districts or overlooking it. There was a question planning board had in regards to there are quarter acre lots, and there's 4 units per lot or something like that, or 1 1/4 acre lots with 4 units per lot, and inclusive of open space. The question is, how does that meet the zoning requirements with regards to septic?
Exactly. What we always seem to get hung up on.
Yeah,
septic.
and whether the town has the infrastructure to even support a starter home zoning district because of the septic.
So the septics.
Yeah. So Richard was going to reach out to DHCD for us to see how they really are defining those units and in regard, and how rural areas can do this if they can, those that are dependent on septic.
Yep. It appeared that rural areas was not something that they had considered yet. So hopefully they can revamp it to make it suitable for towns like us.
Yeah. And then we got into a really interesting conversation about mass works and wastewater sewer systems, and getting a mass works project. You need, housing and employment as part of that initial. So it was a good conversation. It's just a lot there. And so we're just going to start with that first step. But the planning board didn't seem like it was something that we would, as a town, be able to do right now.
Was that like a door closing firmly, or just until we hear more from Richard?
No, I think it was more
and
of
DHCD.
Hear more from Richard, and
how could we actually achieve it?
More infrastructure.
Yeah.
Well, so I have some questions, and I wasn't at the meeting, so maybe from your attendance you can answer. But when I hear infrastructure, obviously we don't have septic. We only have septic. We don't have a sewer system, but we have neighborhoods in town. They're old, where the houses are tight together. I always use Mountain View Circle as an example. Mm-hmm. So a question maybe for Richard, or maybe someone on the planning board who knows, have requirements for septics over the years changed so that more land is required? Because there's septics on Mountain View Circle. There's no sewer in town. And those are old septics. And they do not see, again, soils are different in different parts of town. I get that. Mm-hmm. But they're not failing. So unless they're grandfathered in, because there's new requirements, and are those town requirements or state requirements? So that would be a question.
It's a great point, because
I think the septic is state, isn't it?
Yeah,
Probably
Whoever said the health
DEP or
agent enforces, the Board of Health enforces.
Yep. It's
or
an
Department of
MGL.
Environmental Protection. I don't know. But that's my question. I have another question, which is, I think in addition to looking at, you assume, right, if you limit the lot size or you create a zone that says, okay, for the example given, 4 units on an acre and a quarter or whatever, that it's going to force a smaller home. Not necessarily. When we look at what's happening in Northampton, in the Bay State section of Northampton, right, where Northampton was on a mission to expand, to create more housing. And so they loosened their lot requirements and et cetera. And what's happening is they're just developers are putting very, very large homes on very, very small lots right next to one another. And I've seen this in other neighborhoods. So we don't want to create an overlay district, for example, that has the intent of starter homes, but doesn't produce starter homes.
Yeah. And kind of building upon that. So Janet, I actually went and did watch the MMA affordable housing webinar that you suggested. It's my Saturday. And
Living
they
large.
talked about the community one stop for growth, and they have a rural and small town community. I don't know if it's like project or if they have funding and people that will work with towns, but they discussed feasibility studies. So I'm really interested in looking into that. And I think that this is kind of the perfect thing if we really wanted to pursue looking at starter home overlay district, working with whether it's MHP or another program or community one stop for growth, which sounds like it kind of would fit. If we could get them in to do a feasibility study to see if this is something that we could really work into the town, or if it's really like, no, not right now, or this is what you need to do something like that.
Yeah. And when you say feasibility, in my mind, that also means some way of working it into the bylaw that assures you get what you're asking for.
Yeah.
So if there are any loopholes or whatnot, that those are closed. Because you can even make a very, very expensive small ranch style home, but you amp it up with all sorts of bling as far as the appliances and the countertops and so you make a very high end 55 and older retirement home, or you don't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. So in my mind, if we're going to expand the potential for housing in town, so you can build this on a lot that previously wasn't buildable, for example, it only can be for this purpose. And so the language has to be pretty tight in my mind to make sure, because water will find its way, right?
But if it's zoned as a starter home, Chapter 40Y, I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah.
There's some regulations,
Yeah.
Right. That's an excellent point. Those are,
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that, but you would think, to your point, Janet, that would cover it. It should make, but I'm a little bit paranoid just based on what I'm seeing. And we don't want to do that. That's going to defeat the purpose.
Right. No, this is a big chapter, so hopefully.
It sounded like there was still a lot of questions about 40Y because it's so brand new.
Yeah.
Can a member of the public ask a question?
Of course. We may not answer, but
that's fine. So, Joy, you mentioned the one stop and the other methods that we may go about so we can get this feasibility study done. How do we? What's the next step, or like how do we do that?
Well, first you join housing authority. I'm kidding.
Or maybe it's a planning board thing. So maybe
you're on planning board. I mean, I'm happy to work on this with you, Dan, if you want to we want to do a working group kind of thing.
Yeah. Like if it's a way to make progress, I'm all for it. So
on the minutes of last one, I realized it said that I was supposed to look into the community one stop for growth situation and sort of see if there's anything we could apply for. So I put that back on my list that I was going to actually do that. So heads up on that process. You can always get the ad hoc grant committee to help you if there's something that you're interested in. They often apply for something or other. And the way it works is they have like an early March deadline, and you send them sort of a draft of your idea, the state, and they will tell you, A, if they think it's going to work, and B, like which program you should apply in. So it's great to get your idea figured out for that early deadline, even though the grant deadline isn't until May, because then you can get them to give you feedback and make sure you get a successful grant app. So there's a whole, you can read the Community One Stop for Growth website. It's so long and tedious. I will be looking through that. You're also welcome to. I found when it came to like...
You're not selling it, Sierra.
I found that when it came to things like feasibility studies, well, I was going to check back and see if they do feasibility studies for things like bylaws. The studies I saw them talking about were things like site planning feasibility studies, like physical project feasibility.
Yeah.
They don't also do sort of like bylaw feasibility in some other sections. So I will, at some point over the next few weeks, go back and look through it. You're also welcome to, because it's so long and complicated that like two people looking at it might be useful. Just saying.
I might not even look. I would just find a number. I'm going to call a number or an email. I don't have, I'm looking at the website.
I don't have time for this shit.
There's 19 pages and that's just their PowerPoint presentation.
So yeah, we could.
I'm going to find someone that I can ask direct questions who will give me direct answers, hopefully.
So who is that you're looking into, Joy? For my minutes, who are you going to reach out to?
I will find someone at One Stop for Growth Development Continuum. It's a continuum.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's got to be there.
Like each step on the continuum, there's like 4 different programs that fund it. It's like they are trying to make it easier, and it probably is easier than it was, but it's still extremely complicated.
Yeah, there's a rural and small town development fund. So I will hope maybe find someone. There's not phone numbers here, but I'll find one.
So cold call them.
I'm going to start cold calling people.
All right.
Start with our reps if I can't find anyone else.
Awesome. Okay, we'll both try our way. Let each other know if we get any answer.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So a little bit circular here, but I was just thinking, Dan, you were mentioning 40Y and how new it is. It is a good place to start as far as that's concerned, but because it's new, I worry, is it fully vetted yet?
True.
That's what always, again, I'm back to that paranoia I have.
I hear you. I never buy the first year model of a car because they're still working out the bugs.
Yeah.
Right.
We want to move on this, right? We don't want to be so cautious.
Yeah. Let's move on it sooner rather than later. I like new laws because it's like the Wild West.
Well, here's
they don't know. They don't know unless you push, unless you ask the questions, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't think about it." And you're like, "Well, what did you think about that?" Like with cannabis, no one knows what's going on until people start asking the questions or making things up. So I like new laws, unlike new products. Products are a little more risky.
So I'll
still be molded.
I'll be the yang to your yin. New things scare me because, for Dan's reason, the last thing we need again is to adopt something like 40Y. It's brand new. We're progressive. We're on the cutting edge, and people find loopholes, and we don't get what we want out of it, which are starter homes.
All the more reason why I think it'd be helpful to have professionals who do this with rural communities coming in instead of just lay people like us, not thinking about repercussions to these issues.
Janet, you look like you've been poised to say something.
Oh, no. I'm just thinking about, I'll be the middle child that mediates between, you two extremes. If that
All right.
It's a multi-dimensional problem. So it's not something, it's not just, X doesn't always just yield Y. There's so many inputs and factors that play into this that you can't,
right.
Who knows what a new law
At some point you have to take a leap.
Yeah, and you have to take a leap.
Yeah.
But so you're both right.
I'm more right, but okay. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
legal terminology, actually.
Yeah. Nah.
No.
All right.
Okay. So we
All
have.
right. So, Sierra, do you have any more things you want to bring up here? This is why things to wait till next month is a good catch-all for this month anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at you all on this Brady Bunch presentation on my screen. Yeah, right. Hey, Greg. Any further agenda items for this evening?
No.
All right. Then our next agenda item is to schedule the next meeting.
Which is still on the second Monday for now.
For the moment, yes.
Yes.
Correct. Now, the second Monday, is that President's Day next month or no?
Is
No.
that
I don't think so.
the 13th? No, that's
No.
no. The 20th is
So it'll
President's
work.
Day.
Okay. Anyone have any objections to the 13th of February, 2023 at 6 p.m.?
No, I already have it on my schedule.
And we will continue with Zoom because it seems to work.
Yeah. Have they, do we need to update our website? Do we still say we meet the first Monday on the website? Do you know, Jim?
The My Town Government website?
No,
Yeah.
The Southampton website.
on a Southampton.org website.
We should change that if it does. I will
Oh,
I
yeah.
will
I'll
check.
check it
And
too.
who's the webmaster?
Well,
You
edit,
can update that. The My
edit-
Town.
no.
My Town, but we're not talking about that.
The,
Well, speaking of, I mean, this is one thing I talked about open space. At open space, this doesn't have to do with directly, but we're getting new websites. Speaking of ad hoc,
I just got
we're
out of that
getting new
conversation.
websites, right? And so each
Yeah.
committee is going to be in charge of
Yep.
updating their websites, right?
Yeah, you're going to be able to have control over your little part of the domain.
When is that going to be implemented? Are we getting links? Are we getting, how is that working?
Yeah, so the next step is Dan Breen, Anna's husband, and Megan Gentile, the woman who works at the old bookstore in town. They're getting trained on how to use the tool to make the websites, and there's going to be next week, I think on Wednesday, they're having a meeting again with Final Site, which is the company that we work with, that will host our site, and has this tool put together to make it easy for everybody to edit, and there'll be a kind of like a mass porting of what content we want to bring over from the existing website. So before that, there's a subcommittee of the technology committee that's going to meet, which is Megan, Dan, Ed Gibson, Chris Falls are going to get together and decide, this website is out of date. It doesn't apply anymore. We're not going to port it over. This one is still relevant. We should bring this one over and put it in this area. And so figure out kind of map between the old site and what the new site should start with. So
It sounds like it'll probably be a couple months before we have access to that type of thing.
yeah, a couple months is probably good. Yeah.
Because
Okay.
currently it says we meet at 5:30 p.m. first Monday of every month in person. So very much not correct.
That's why no one's coming to the meeting.
Yeah.
Or
Besides
they're
that,
all waiting at Town Hall at 5:30 on the
Yeah.
first
Oh
Monday.
yeah, there's so many people there.
besides that, the website gets updated by a person that the town pays to perform periodic updates.
And that filters through Ed to that person.
Okay, so it's not going to be like like the chair of the committee is going to be updating it.
Here, in the future, I think so, right, Dan? In the
Yeah.
future,
Yes,
Okay,
that's
Wow.
the goal of going to.
or whoever the designated, because I don't think some of these chairs are going to be
I can't picture
technically
it.
savvy enough to and they will be assigning that out.
Yeah, it's
I've been signed out. I've already been signed out.
I volunteer as tribute. I'm like a big website updater person.
perfect, and they have a tool. It's a WYSIWYG type editor to make it easy, and it's kind of like the Wild West. Sometimes you just got to go for it and try it out and see what it looks like first.
so let's get Ed to update our current site. So when it ports over, it's correct.
Yeah, so it sounds like that's going to take a month or a while. So just email Ed to update the hours, right? Ed's
Yeah,
taking care of the
Janet,
sites now.
did you say you were going to do that for now?
I didn't.
Oh, I thought you did. I will do it.
No, I'll do it, Jim. I'll
Okay.
do it. I didn't say that, but I can do that.
Oh, I see. I heard what I wanted to hear.
Selective hearing.
You're funny.
When you're old and your hearing starts to fail, then you default to selective hearing. Yes.
You can just make up whatever you want.
Well, I'm glad you're enthused about that, Sierra. You're practically jumping through the screen there. That's great.
Oh, I'm so enthused. Much like last year, I wanted our flyer to go up there, and I emailed to Ed, and that was where that hope started and ended. So I just have some control over that.
Yeah,
Nice.
no, the goal is the website will be fully utilized by all the committees, and they can keep information fresh and updated, and the townspeople will be able to go there and know what's going on.
And there's
I'll post fun memes. No, I'm just kidding.
is there going to be a template or any, there's no worries that
there's
sites are going to go completely rogue or
there's a general look and feel that they're choosing, so they'll all follow the same type of look and feel, and you can go from there.
Nice. Excellent. Wow. Just learned so much in this last not on the agenda period. Wonderful.
Right.
So we are scheduled. Hey there. We're scheduled for February 13th at 6 p.m.
I moved to adjourn.
I moved to second.
All right, then. All those in favor with a voice vote, please.
Skipper, aye.
Bye.
And I
Sini, aye. Very good.
at
All right.
7:09 from
Yes, and don't forget to hit the stop recording button. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thanks for joining us, Becky and Dan.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.